Welcome to In a Minute, the video series that takes us through the Bible book of Matthew, one chapter a day, 5 days a week. Today, we begin reading about the final days of Jesus' time here on earth. So, let's dive in. In Matthew chapter 26, the city of Jerusalem is crowded with people coming for perhaps the biggest annual celebration for the Jewish people. The Passover commemorated God's miraculous deliverance of Israel from Egyptian slavery. This event is recorded in the Old Testament book of Exodus. So, once a year, thousands of Jews would make the pilgrimage to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. Jesus and his disciples, being Jewish, made the trip also. They spent the nights that week a couple of miles away in the village of Bethany and walked to Jerusalem each day. This would be the last Passover Jesus would share with his disciples, and it was significant. At the first Passover, the Israelites killed a sacrificial lamb to save them from the death that struck all of the Egyptians' firstborn. At this Passover, Christ is presenting himself as the ultimate and final sacrificial lamb to bring life to the entire world. The bread represented his body, and the wine symbolized his blood of the new covenant. Jesus transformed the Passover into what we now know as the Lord's Supper or communion. Christ commanded that we continue to celebrate communion to remember what he has done for us. The Lord's Supper, while a reminder, also looks forward. Jesus says to all of us that he will not celebrate this meal again until that day when the entire church will be with him in his heavenly kingdom. After supper, Jesus, knowing what he is about to face, seeks a place to pray. And then things begin to happen very quickly. Jesus is betrayed, arrested, brought before the Sanhedrin, which was the Jewish high court at the time, accused and put on trial. The trial was not conducted in the usual way and highly suspect in its legality. Nonetheless, Jesus is accused of blasphemy and sentenced to death. Chapter 26 closes with Peter, who hours before claimed that he would die for Christ, denying that he even knew him. When Peter realizes he had done the very thing he thought he would never do, he is inconsolable. Throughout the events of this chapter, we see Christ obediently submitting to the salvation plan of God the Father and willingly walking the path to the cross. He did this so that all of us could be reconnected with God and find eternal life. But don't take my word for it. Read it for yourself.